Welcome to the Virtual Strategic Solutions Virtual Reality Simulation System. Accessing Legacy Dataset. Files loaded. Simulation ready. Before the Great War, mass fusion was Boston's premier utility, providing power to all of Massachusetts, providing a lucrative line of fusion wells, engines, and cores. It was founded in 2043 by Carl Oslo, after spending 6 years cutting his teeth as an electrical engineer with Poseidon Energy. Oslo decided he'd had enough with traditional methods of energy distribution and founded mass fusion to begin realizing his vision: power to the people. His Clean Power Initiative officially focused on developing affordable sources of energy based on nuclear principles, and by 2053 his efforts bore fruit as the first fusion distribution boxes and sources of power entered the market. Through cunning and dedication, Oslo's company eventually cornered the energy market in Massachusetts, becoming the primary power provider for the state by 2070. In truth, the company was lying through its teeth about selling clean fusion power. The junction boxes and plutonium wells were all fundamentally fission-based, provided with lead shielding to protect the users from irradiation. However, imperfect shielding was all too common, and radiation poisoning was a real risk among consumers. The company, of course, vehemently denied these accusations. Nausea, vomiting, hair loss, and radiation burns were common symptoms, but they denied it had anything to do with their clean power. It wasn't until 2066 and the unveiling of the first power armor fusion cell that the company truly started providing fusion power. But even then, legacy infrastructure was too commonplace to be cheaply replaced. Mass fusion continued to operate containment facilities and dumping grounds in rural Massachusetts, hiding the radioactive waste from prying eyes. However, mass fusion and its CEO were on the verge of making a breakthrough. The Clean Power Initiative would finally create the first sustainable, clean fusion reactor. Through the use of a beryllium agitator, this reactor would be able to provide over 22,000 megawatts to Massachusetts and allow the company to finally stop lying. The brainchild of Carl Oslo and Noel Chandrick, the project was accelerated following Oslo's contacts with the military and the request for a power source beyond anything made before. Chandrick's protest went unheard, and the project was accelerated. Thanks to Kathy Hathaway's work on graphene shielding, the installation of the agitator was made possible, and the switch was finally thrown on July 30th, 2077. By August 29th, the reaction was confirmed as stable. Chandrick was fired a week later with a non-compete agreement to boot. Perhaps for this reason, Poseidon Energy was attempting to buy out mass fusion shortly before the war cut their operations short. The beryllium agitator is a pre-war project that was being developed at the mass fusion facility in Boston. Although the mass fusion CEO Carl Oslo claimed that it was being developed for the benefit of mankind, Oslo actually intended to have the agitator sent to Washington for military testing. When Dr. Noel Chandrick, the lead research scientist of the project, discovered this, he confronted Oslo about it, although Oslo stated that the agitator would be handed over to the military no matter what, which led to Chandrick being fired from the company. Ultimately, the Great War occurred on October 23, 2077, and Boston was hit by a nuclear device. The agitator was left unscathed in the mass fusion building's main reactor. It was left untouched for over 200 years, until in 2287, proof of its existence was discovered by the Institute and the Brotherhood of Steel. The beryllium agitator is able to generate a considerable amount of energy. For that reason, the Institute planned to acquire it in order to power up the Institute's main generator, whereas the Brotherhood of Steel needed it in order to power up Liberty Prime and get it ready to fight the Institute. Simulation completed. Please exit the pod, or have a technician select another file.